they come into your practice, they come into your world, but then you offer these other things. And that is the challenge with other practice owners out there. They just are in the same mindset of, we take Medicare, we have PTs or OTs or PTAs or whatever to bill them, and they live on the low margin because.
All right, Dave Kittle Show here. We got a new one here. I am documenting. I'm walking. I'm in New York City, in Manhattan here. We got a lot of loud noise. You probably can't even hear what I'm saying. But if you can, the reason why I'm filming this video is because I'm going to be right now meeting up with one of my previous physical therapists, Dr. Chris Naipaul. And we're going to sit down at Tao in Town East here. And we're going to break some bread. And he's having some challenges with Medicare Part B billing. We're going to talk about Medicare Part B. We're going to talk about mobile physical therapy, concierge physical therapy. Is manual therapy overrated? Is manual therapy, the act of manual therapy, is that a bribe? Tony Meritato recently said that he believes manual therapy is a bribe. He says that insurance payers are even paying less for manual therapy, and that they know it's a bribe. Is it a bribe? Is doing manual therapy a bribe to get the patients come back to your office if you have a brick and mortar outpatient office? Anyway, I'm going to talk to Dr. Chris Naipaul about all that. I want to ask him his thoughts around his frustrations with Medicare Part B billing. And specifically, he is contemplating leaving the profession. He's looking to go potentially to law school. He's already got a DPT, but he's looking to maybe get a law degree or MBA. And let's see, navigating the streets here. East 60th and Madison. It's pretty busy right now. Anyway, I want to get his thoughts on why he's frustrated with the physical therapy profession. Is there anything that we can do to save him, to salvage him? Or is it a lost cause? Is he going to go get his MBA or his JD, his law degree, and leave the physical therapy profession? He's already got a practice. He's already got a mobile physical therapy practice here in New York City. They accept Medicare, we don't. So arguably it's not direct competition. And so we're fine with that. And I want to get his thoughts. So if you are seeing this, the next video, as long as the restaurant allows us to do this, and as long as it's not too loud, and if I don't get too loud in the in the restaurant, if we're not too loud, I want to record a video on the table as we're eating, talking about business, talking about physical therapy and all that. So if this is of interest, and if you like this format, you're gonna have to give me some feedback, some comments or whatever, because there's a little bit of a different format. Audio and video might not be great, but it might be a little bit different behind the scenes kind of thing. And so from time to time, and I'm sorry, this truck is really loud. From time to time, I have physical therapists and colleagues and buddies that, you know, want to pick my brain or have me out for a cup of coffee or lunch or something. I take them out or they take me out or whatever, but this is just a different format. So you got to let me know what you think here in beautiful New York City. And that's it. So if you are watching this, the next part will be potentially Dr. Chris Naipaul and I talking, sitting down, breaking some bread.
All right, I'm here with my buddy, Dr. Chris Naipaul. I don't even know if this is going to work. Audio or video is probably terrible quality, but we're here eating some lunch at Tao here. Actually, that might work. What do you think? Okay, it's a little dark. It's pretty loud. So I wanted to ask Dr. Chris Naipaul like a little bit about like, so you're first of all like mobile concierge. So like, tell me about what you like or don't like about it. Like you worked for me for a couple years, went on your own, like we're on total great terms. Like we're on good terms. We're obviously out having some lunch. So tell me about like just mobile concierge, and then I'll ask you some other questions. I want to kind of talk about like Medicare Part B, manual therapy, maybe if we have time. And we also might get cut off if, I don't know if we're doing dessert or if we got to bounce soon. But we'll get into it. Let's see.
Yeah. So I'm Dr. Christopher Naipaul, physical therapist. Was working for Dave for a bit and then went off on my own, created a mobile Part B agency. Not the easiest industry, but, you know, have gotten to, it has its ups and downs. ran into some challenges. One of those being staffing and hiring with a lot of these private equity companies and private equity backed home care agencies, and also just with Medicare Part B regulations, documentation and such is much easier doing the cash pay concierge, but keeping it going.
And are you still treating patients?
Treating very, very once in a while. I'm treating cash pay patients, some on Medicare that I've had for a while that won't let me leave, kind of thing. But just letting some of the therapists kind of do it and kind of running the business side of it.
Got it. All right. Let's see. What else do I want to ask you? Okay, so you mentioned that there's been some challenges with Medicare Part B. You mentioned some billing. I don't know how much you want to get into it because this will be public if you're cool with that. So I like maybe some challenges, issues, whatever. I'm curious to kind of hear about your documentation or billing issues. I think you said like clawbacks and issues with like payment and reimbursement. And obviously, like when we have like a private pay patient out of pocket, like it hits our bank account, like we do right by them, and like the patient is not asking for a refund typically, like they don't ask for the money back. Versus Medicare, if there's like a billing coding issue or you see them for too many visits or whatever, there could be some clawback. So I know you mentioned that recently. So the question is, tell us about the Medicare challenges or issues right now.
So yeah, some of the Medicare challenges are basically we get paid 21 days later. Medicare pays 21 days after the date of service and the bills are sent. So let's say there's a therapist treating someone twice a week, 21 days, that's about 6 visits. Then we get a denial for those services. Let's say they say it is too much services. The medical reviewer believes that it's a little too much for their diagnosis code. And I've already paid that therapist for those 6 visits. So I pay very similar to, just daily when they finish a visit, I pay them, or every couple days, I see it on my system, I pay them. So I get that denial and I've already paid the therapist, a really good amount per visit. And now I'm at a loss for that.
You're paying like 70 a visit or something?
85 a visit. Yeah. So that really hurt. And then the patient, they say, oh, okay, I got a denial. It's all right. I'll finish the services. And we can try to bill them for it. Oftentimes, Medicare patients, they won't pay and they know that there's really nothing I can really do. My billing company sends bills to them, of course. They kind of just toss them in the trash. And another one is the Medicare clawbacks. Basically, if someone is getting Part A services while they're getting Part B services, it's the Part B company's responsibility for some reason. So let's say I'm treating someone, they go to the hospital on the weekend, and they go to the hospital and then start getting Part A services. They won't even tell us. They won't, because why would they? They're like, let's just get both. And we get both, and then 6 months later, I'll get a yellow letter. It says National Government Services on it. You're always heart racing. You open it, it's always the same thing. We want $3,000 back. And I've already paid the therapist for this. And I have to pay them $3,000 back. So it's like, it's almost, sometimes a double loss. It doesn't happen too often, but when you're running on Medicare margins, 1 or 2 of those, you're getting hurt. It's very tight to begin with. So one of those clawbacks and these denials really, they definitely add up.
All right. So one of the things that you're actually, so I helped you with some letters of recommendation. You're looking to do law school. You were looking to either do law school or an MBA, but right now you're applying for law school. So he's got a DPT, he's got a doctor of physical therapy degree, now looking to apply for a JD, law school, a couple different law schools. And we kind of talked about it behind the scenes, but like is it part of the Medicare billing frustrations that's driving that? Or is it the cap or the limitations of Medicare Part B, or just the limitations of what you see with physical therapy in general. Like you could work in an outpatient office, you could open an outpatient office, maybe you could buy one, which is not easy to do, or you can start and grow a mobile practice, which is what you're doing. But it seems like if you're looking to go elsewhere, then maybe you're seeing some cap or ceiling with your current practice and or physical therapy, the profession at large. I don't know, maybe some of that, all of that. I don't know if you can just put some more like detail to it.
Yeah, I'd say, physical therapy, great profession, very rewarding in other ways. It just seems like it has given me what I wanted out of it. It has given me amazing days of treating patients and getting them back to everything they love doing. But you were right. It feels like I am capped and my kind of aspirations and goals are going a little bit beyond what I do see something that could be realistic. I know there are very successful PTs out there, concierge like Dave here, and that are making very good money. But yeah, I just think it's a very challenging industry, and got what I wanted out of it, but now would like to just broaden my horizons a little bit, maybe either a lawyer or M&A advisor or investment banking, something shooting a little higher, so to speak.
What year did you graduate?
2020. So
graduate 2020 with your
yes.
BCC.
Yes.
And we're only at 2024.
Yes.
So basically, do you think it's burnout? Are you burnt out as a therapist or a practice owner?
I would say I'm burnt out, not by because I don't treat too much anymore, but I'm burnt out just with it feels like we are, especially in the insurance game. I think every therapist or every owner of a PT practice that accepts insurance feels like it's the system kind of against every year. My reimbursement from 2020 has gone down 4% every year. And they're saying inflation's up the last 4 years is 20% average. So, and I don't think it's going anywhere higher in the recent years.
With the current climate, right? Like, do you see like more patients or clients understanding the value of paying out of pocket for physical therapy? Do you feel like, I mean, obviously your confidence with speaking to patients has probably improved like dramatically over the past 3 or 4 years, but do you see more patients and clients? I know like when I put these videos and episodes out, like I always like to say, I know New York City is a bubble. Like I know this is like, not everyone can just pay whatever, 200 or more per visit out of pocket for PT. But do you see more patients and clients, more random citizens nearby paying out of pocket for services? Do you see like there's a difference from when you started your practice, which was when, by the way?
2022.
22. Okay, so you graduated 2020. You worked with me starting in 2020 or 2021?
Yeah.
21. Worked with me for like a year-ish or whatever. Then you started your practice. So you had a practice for 2 years. Have you seen a difference in patients or clients paying more out of pocket because they see the value or they understand the change in like reimbursement or anything like that, or not? Or do you feel like there's been like everyone is the same, like they have Medicare or whatever insurance and like they want to use it? What have you seen?
Like you said, it is a bubble. We're blessed to be here where there are a lot of cash pay patients and there are a lot of people that do see the value in physical therapy. It's hard when everything is termed under physical therapy, versus the PT that Dave sends and that you guys provide is much, much, much different than Medicare Part B PT that some of the big companies are sending. So I think it's been steady. There are people that do see the value in it and they already get their Medicare therapy and then see the value in, I want an hour of manual therapy. Where can I get this? Or I want, even a personality of a therapist. People that are getting paid concierge often have different personalities. They vibe with the patient well. I see a lot of that. But I'd say they need to be frequent flyers to really see the difference between. They know what they're going to get at some of the big home care companies, and
which is what, without mentioning names, what do they see?
Like
they experience.
So you'd experience 10 to 15-minute visit with someone who maybe English is not the best, not their first language, but, no manual therapy at all. I'd had patients, it's blown away when I put my hands on them, which, kind of sad. Yeah. They're like, wait, what is this? I had 2 knee replacements. What kind of therapy is this? Like, they're even to the point where they're skeptical. Wait, what is this going on? It's kind of sad, but like a lot of people on your show have said, Medicare pays for the minimum quality physical therapy. It's just physical.
Shout out Tony Maritato.
Yeah, shout out Tony Maritato. Yes. And like, a lot of those videos really get in my mind. It's like that. We are trying to give, some therapists, like myself, are accepting Medicare and trying to give this amazing concierge service where we answer the phone 24/7 and give manual therapy, very flexible with cancellations, and we're making it work for them, managing. I'm thinking of patients' appointments. Oh, they have a doctor's appointment today. Let me remind them. And, you don't really get compensated for it, get rewarded in other ways, which is great, but would be nice. Yeah.
So could you or should you get paid for? So a previous client that you and I, through my practice, we worked with, and I kind of eventually I was kind of charging them like a weekly fee instead of a visit fee. And what you just said about calling them to remind them about appointments, maybe they live alone, maybe they don't, maybe they're not on top of that type of stuff. Could that be an additional cash pay service? And you could call, I've called it care coordination. I mean, you could call it, I don't know, rehab continuum, care continuum, where someone like us, so someone like you and I, because we understand what's valuable and it's helpful, and it's like naturally, like it's something that's a value add to that type of a patient. Like you just said, calling them to remind them about an appointment. Doing things like what I just told you, where I am trying to also not really treat patients, but I have a few patients, but I have a patient here in Manhattan who just got admitted to the hospital. And then I visited them now 4 or 5 times in the hospital, which most physical therapists wouldn't do, because you're a private practice, you're an independent physical therapist. So why would someone do that? Right. And we do it. And I think you might have done it. So at least one of my patients that you went, did you or no? You went, yeah, maybe like a nurse or something. Could you charge that patient or family, or not charge? Could you offer it and say, hey, for a weekly fee of $1,000, or I don't know, whatever the dollar amount is, a weekly fee of $500, I don't know, wherever you're at, the number you figure out later. But like you give them like, it's like we're at a restaurant right now. Like here's the menu of our care coordination. And it might be you or your therapist calls them every single day to remind them about taking medications, or just to say good morning or good evening, or how was lunch or dinner. But then it's also an extension of care coordination, meaning we have some patients that do PT and OT. You have an OT in your practice. I don't, right? So like, let's say I have a client that needed some hand OT or whatever. And then part of the care coordination is I refer and I kind of set up the evaluation with your OT, Kelsey. Maybe we're referring to you, but we're kind of speaking, like I'm managing, bring you guys into this patient or client's home. And then then they say, do you know anyone that does like home massage that brings a portable treatment table? So I go on Google or my network or whatever, and I find that person. Or someone that does in-home acupuncture, or in-home hospice care, or I don't know, whatever. I just found out a new thing called, like you've heard of doulas, like doulas for pregnancy. I just heard of someone on Instagram called a death coach. Thank you, sir. Someone on Instagram called a death coach, a doula for the end of life. So like a non-clinical, non-skilled person who understands the death and dying process. Maybe I find that type of a person to kind of come in if we have a patient or client that is elderly. So long-winded comment. My question would be, is that type of a patient, could you present them with an offer that's cash-based, because Tony Maritato likes that as well, it's a weekly fee or a monthly fee or whatever, $1,000 a month, $1,000 a week, or whatever. You figure out the numbers, and it's care coordination. It's all that. It's ordering an Uber or Lyft for them to go to a doctor's appointment. It's escorting them to a doctor's appointment, or one of your therapists goes with them, your PT, PTA, whatever, goes with them to a doctor's appointment or whatever. So it's you're helping them. It's valuable. They see the value, and it's a cash pay service. Have you ever kind of considered something like that?
Yeah, I think that would bring tremendous value to a lot of patients, and especially those that are already paying cash and need other services. I know, like, for them to get even an ambulette service is like pulling teeth out for a lot of these patients. I know of a service like that in this area in the Upper East Side with a nurse that runs it, a nurse practitioner. I don't know the name of the company, but I know the name of the nurse. Yeah, he kind of has a calendar in their house with all of their appointments. He personally comes in and writes each appointment they have, all their PT appointments.
Just like a weekly or
he charged, and I've heard it is well over 1,000 a week. Well over. Yeah. And the patient seems to love it, and they can't live without it once he starts, where, he's all, making all their appointments. And
say this on the microphone. Calendar concierge.
Calendar concierge. That sounds that's we just created it right here.
Business.
Yes.
A new business line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I see how I think maybe even PT will get to a point where if these huge conglomerates start dwindling reimbursements so low that, it may turn into something cash where, of course, there will always be a place for insurance and some patients that need that and the PTs that will accept that. But I think with pressures of inflation, living in New York City, a lot of therapists are going to be looking for something more to be able to survive here a little more comfortably.
Yeah, totally. So let's just riff on that real quick. So the calendar concierge, a business line that I just created, or you presented it and I just named it. Okay, so calendar concierge, you just said you could, there's always going to be a place for insurance, right? So many practice owners across the country, they will use insurance like that to be like lead generation. So it's like you accept Medicare Part B or whatever the insurance is. You get that person into your world. They're like, oh, this sounds different. You sound different on the phone. And wow, this is interesting. You could use Medicare Part B services. You do some home visits. You do a plan of care. You do one visit. You do, 10 or 20 or whatever. You do a plan of care, and then you discharge them. But in that process, you could set up that type of a care coordination offering, and you use the Medicare Part B or whatever the insurance might be as the lead generation, meaning it's like a lower barrier to entry for a patient or client to try to step into concierge pain relief or whatever the practice name is. And then you say, oh, by the way, we also offer, call it calendar concierge or whatever. And like, I've never really named other than just like concierge model, but like the patient I just had in the hospital, like I'm texting his wife and partner all the time about like confirming a visit, and then she'll ask me like, how did it go? And then I'll give some information. And I know you've done that even when you were working with me, and you'll probably still do that with your current patients, but not everyone does that. But by allowing the Medicare beneficiary, you bill them for the therapy services, they come into your practice, they come into your world, but then you offer these other things. And that is the challenge with other practice owners out there. They just are in the same mindset of, we take Medicare, we have PTs or OTs or PTAs or whatever to bill them, and they live on the low margin because that's just what it is. Like it's lower margin. But if you offer, like in a restaurant, we have this menu, and here's this second page of the menu and the third page of the menu, or we had, we looked at, there was a drink menu, there was an a la carte menu, and then the pre-fee menu. So why don't we have more pages in our menus? Like we can offer some, and guess what? If the family says, wow, $1,000 a week or whatever, that's insane, that's a ripoff, whatever. Okay. Like it's not for them. They get to say yes or no, right? Like why not offer? Why not have other creative offerings that your current staff could actually fulfill?
Good idea. Yeah.
What else you got? Any questions for me? How about that? Any questions for me? We'll flip it. I know we got to pay the bill. We got to get out of here soon. We're both running late. Any questions for me? What do you got?
What is your biggest challenge?
Oh, my biggest challenge is recruiting and hiring therapists. Yeah.
We talked before of the very nice offers out there about this private equity backed companies that make it kind of
it's competitive.
It's because they're not necessarily reliant on the PT's revenue to pay their salary. They have all these, they're getting either extra money or they're trying just to build up their clinics, even if they're at a loss now, to be able to sell to private equity later. So their clinics can be at a loss and they're paying these therapists 130 grand, 135 grand to hit these EBITDA numbers to look nice in the book for a higher valuation. And then when they sell, that's where that profit will come from. So it's a tough racket.
Yeah. So to just expand on that, challenging and competitive marketplace right now with hiring, with recruiting. My business partner and my business coach, Sturdy McKee, has started PT Match. I don't know. Have you heard of it? Have you used it?
I've seen it. Indeed.
It's probably my listing. Yeah. So I spoke with a candidate that they got us on Monday, actually, on the holiday. And the candidate was like, yeah, I thought PT Match was like the practice name, because they write the job postings for us or whatever. So I don't know, that's just like another thing I've been trying, because it's like Sturdy's been in PT for 20 or 30 years, or he had a practice for 18 or 20 years, and he's been a PT for 30 or 40 years or whatever. So that it's competitive out there. And so rather than just like Indeed and LinkedIn, it's like I want to use every tool or platform that's out there, and whatever we pay them, it works out to they'll place a great therapist with us, and then there's a return on investment there. So it's all good. And whatever we pay them is it's a write-off anyway. So, but yes, it is challenging when some of the corporates, even in New York City, the corporates are paying a full-time physical therapist $100,000 salary or more. And then it's maybe there are less and less therapists that want to run around and treat 4 to 6 patients a day. I mean, some of your therapists in the same building, in a retirement center or nursing home, they're seeing max 7 or 8,
right?
Or can you see 10? Can you see 9 or 10?
Good, but now we're at 53 minutes.
53-minute visit, 4-unit visit. Yeah. How about? Well, we can wrap up. Any final comment, takeaways? I don't know. Why we're out here having lunch, just catching up, but I don't know, anything other than that. Any takeaways or thoughts?
Yeah, just, it's always great just talking about the industry, seeing what Dave's doing, learning a lot about, just new avenues of either improving the business. So, yeah, always love having lunch.
All right. Well, listen, guys, you may or may not see this. If this is terrible audio or video, you may not see this video at all. If we do post it, and my editor, Nate, if he's able to spruce up this audio and video enough to make this publishable, then if this is live, if you see this on YouTube or anywhere else, comment below. Let me know if you think this is interesting or fun, or if this style, I've never done this type of a style of a video, and I probably would need better camera and tripod, like a boom mic, I don't know, some better equipment than an iPhone and this plug-in old school iPhone headphones. But if this format is interesting, let me know. I did a selfie video on the way here, by the way, as a potential intro video for this. So if you're seeing all this, you got to let me know below in the comments on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you might see this. Let me know if this style is of interest. If it is, I'll do more of it. If I don't hear anything, and if it's crickets, then I probably won't do it. But let me know. Subscribe to the Dave Kittle Show for more. If you want to buy or sell a physical therapy practice, or if you want to grow your physical therapy practice or expand, or maybe leave the industry, but hopefully not. I don't know. That's it for now. We'll catch you next time on the show. Thanks. Bye. Bye, Chris.
Hey, it's Dave Kittle. Are you a healthcare business owner or physical therapy practice owner who is looking to figure out your succession plan or exit strategy? We might be able to help.
And in fact, we may be interested in acquiring your practice. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. Shoot me an email at dave@conciergepainrelief.com. That's DAVE at CONCIERGE painrelief.com. Or you can call me at any time, 646-781-8884.